Hey there, everybody. We'll start recording here in about another minute. All right. Morning, everybody. We are going to be looking at how far you're making it on your soap today, because we're going to try to have these things kind of wrapping up by Friday. Monday's going to talk about our next project that we're going to work on while we are away. I am using a lid. Now I think about it, I probably should have used it the other way so it didn't do that pop. And I just want to make sure that you guys are understanding. So just really quick, kind of laying into the soap a little bit. And we're just going to kind of go from there. So I'm using an older bar of ivory soap. So mine flakes and chips a little bit more. Do you guys have any questions about like what you've done with your soap, or are you at the stage where you're starting to polish it, burnish it by taking the back end of a tool and with some pressure just kind of shining it up a little bit? So taking a tool like this, we just kind of work over the surface of the soap, kind of clean these edges, make them nice and shiny. So really, all we're doing when we polish is, you can see some of the, maybe you can, there's some of the marks in it that are rough from when I've been working with it. And I can use any surface. And I'm just gonna use the flat edge. I'm not trying to take off a lot of material. I'm just barely working this over. And I wanna remove my tool marks. I don't wanna see the little scuffs and the gouges that happen while I'm working. So like at this stage, I'm still, oh, I've done it again. At this stage, I'm still, off my mouse a little. I'm still carving. So polishing right now is really kind of not necessarily in my best interest, but I want to show you guys how to. When you're done, the soap should have a smooth look across it. I can do a zero plane. So if you look at this as degrees, so this is a 0 degree because I'm not tilting it to dig either way. This is a negative because the angle is going the opposite direction that I'm working. And then this is a positive degree that I use when I'm actually cutting into it. And when I'm polishing, I'm using a flat, just minimal contact. And I'm just trying to smooth out any little tool marks as I go. So working through, we want to talk about a little bit today. I mentioned undercuts. And basically what an undercut is we're going to work on a space. So this is pretty intense light that I'm using so you guys can see. But the undercut is where I make a nice lined area. And I'm not trying to go all the way through, but it creates this nice shadow. So you can see when I tilt it up, really hard to kind of see what I'm doing in here because it's all white. But I've done a line, so here's the point, and you can see how far I've gone in. And I've just worked that down this edge. And when I tilt it up, it creates this nice shadow that gives the illusion that this is completely in the round. And it's just a nicely beveled edge. So that's another reason I want to have the polish, is that I don't want to have light hitting areas and creating shadows where I don't want them to be. So again, I'm using kind of older ivory, so it wants to chip on me, so I have to be a little bit careful. If you have a detailed pattern, I would do a light polish first, then lay in my pattern. So if like you're making like a snake and you want to have a really nice snake-like pattern inside of it, do your polish, then lay in your pattern design. And I don't know how well you're going to see that with this light. Let me try. Let's try one, maybe. Then go across my polished surface, and I'll start to add in my pattern that way. It doesn't really show up too well on the camera. Sorry about that, guys. So your soap, when you do your reflection, you're going to tell me were you going for a relief carving or an in the round carving. Did you have to change anything or make any adaptations to it while you were going? For example, I accidentally cut off a leg, or I changed my pattern. It went from a dinosaur to a snake. And tell me why you made those changes. Tell me the easy things about working with soap, and tell me the difficult things about working with soap. And then make sure you turn that in with your final pictures of your soap. So we've got a little bit of a soap review from you. This point, I'm going to have this piece is going to end up overlapping. And at that overlap, I'd want to have another nice undercut, because I definitely want to make sure that one piece looks like it's on top. Boop-a-doop, boop-a-doop. Polish that surface just a little. Polish this surface just a little. Come in here, we're gonna smooth this out. So these guys are actually same plane. What I wanted to do is I want it to look like this one tucks underneath this one. This piece here goes underneath. So then I want to come back. And that means the undercut has to happen on this top piece so that this piece looks like it goes under. So I just want to make sure that first I smooth down the one. Made a little belly button there, so I got to clear that out. Then I'm just going to go in and accent this line. So you can see this is looking like it's tucking underneath. So eventually what's going to happen is this piece wraps over the top, this piece tucks under, and it's going to come up to where the head of the creature is right up here. And I might shave him down eventually to be a little bit lower, or I might just leave it this height all the way through, and I'll just round the edges to make it look like it's raised up more. I figure I'll start down here at its base, and I'll start carving out a little bit of this. And again, take the point, I lead in with the point. A little bump there, get rid of that bump. So it's coming along real nice. As I work, if I do some of my smoothing, like right here, I've got a flat spot, and it's from when one of these chips came out. So eventually I'm gonna have to work that piece. I can use whatever I want, but if I keep smoothing as I go, it just saves me time. And I do smooth before I do my final details, because if my details again are a pattern like a snake or something that has a lot of heavy texture like fur, then I smooth it first, and then later on I will come back through. See like those cracks? I'll come back through and I'll put the details over the top of the smooth surface. That way I don't have to worry about weird adjustments as I go, especially after I'm trying to do some finalized work. So this is an undercut again, where I really emphasize that line space. Dump out that soap. So you get these nice shadows that cast down over. And I'm just making these nice deep looking grooves. So this piece still is connected here. When I'm all done, it will look like it's a free floating piece. All right. Do you guys have any questions that I can show you or help you with? All right. So no questions. Want to remind you guys to be putting some pictures of progress inside of Google Classroom, because that way I can check to see how you're doing. So it's good to be at these sessions in case you have a specific question, but I also want to see pictures for those of you who can't make it, and that way I can see what's going on. We'd like to have this, we're going to start looking for these to be turned in Friday, because I can start grading them then on Friday and make sure. If you haven't turned in, I have pictures of paper sculptures that were in the classroom, and I'll start going through, and if I can't identify them, I'll post those in Google Classroom with a who is this, and you guys can pull out and tell me who yours are if there were no names on them. Let me do this real quick. So otherwise, we're going to try to get this done Monday. We're going to go over what we're going to do next in class. So we'll have a little bit of a lesson about an artist, and we'll start talking about our next project. So if you don't get this, if you don't get pictures of this in today, you might get an email from me that just says, "Hey, how's your soap project going?" And Friday is when I'm going to start looking for these to get turned in so I can grade them on Friday. If you guys don't have any questions or need to know anything, you can peace out for now. If you do, if you want to stick around and hang out for a second and ask me specifics, I can answer specific questions on soap carving.